consistency and routine is really what regulates this part of the brain we were talking about. So the brainstem, which is the part of our brain that has to do with this regulation, fight or flight. So we know that kids really need sensory grounding. When there is something that happens that is out of the routine, like for example, a snow day or a spring break or some of these field trips and other activities, kids really need something that allows them to focus in the present. What we know is when a child is dysregulated, they are not in the present. So it doesn't matter if you are in a safe place in the classroom. When they hear a loud noise that reminds them of something that happened in their past that created a hurt, they are going to react to it regardless of being safe or not. So one of the things that we work a lot with our kids is having something sensory that they can do. So for example, it can be something in their clothing, but being able to say something like, okay, everybody point at their buttons on their shirt and then touch it. Is it a square? Is it circle? Or the zipper in their jacket? Or being able to say, okay, before we start, let's do a take 3. And everybody goes like, what's a take 3? Well, I want you to look around the room and then find 3 different things that you see in the room. And once you find those 3 things, I want you to say the name of the thing, take a breath, and then say the color of it. So for example, if I look around the room here and I think about, okay, I'm going to look at something. I'm going to look at the lamp, the yellow color of the lamp. So first I say lamp, then I say yellow, and then I take a deep breath. And then I do that with, let's say I find a water bottle that is in one of the desks. So I see water bottle, red. And that moment of being able to, again, you're flipping your lid back, which is being able to activate the cognitive part of your brain that brings you into the class or into the session, is really important. I usually have kids, actually, when they're really dysregulated, I said something like, hey, I hear something right here. Do you see it? When kids are dysregulated, they cannot hear this. But I will say something like, hey, are those new shoes? Oh, let me see your shoes. I see they have red. Most of our kids don't go like, oh, thank you, Miss Rebecca. That was amazing. I tried the shoe and then I go like, I hear you're stomping your shoe. I hear your stomp is making all that noise. Oh, let me get close to it. However, as an adult, I don't get super close to it because when a kid is dysregulated, they don't have control over their body. So as they're stomping, I said, "Ooh, look at your foot. Your foot is going up and down, up and down."
Drawing them into the present.
Drawing into the present, and also being able to really focus on something that catches their attention, that is sensory. Mm-hmm. So the color of their shoe or the sound the shoe's making, or even something that is around into, like, sometimes when kids are really dysregulated, I sit down in the chair and I go like, oh my gosh, this is so cold in the chair. Why is this chair so cold? The kid doesn't stop doing what they're doing. They're dysregulated. But as I go into like, oh man, this chair is very cool. Oh, my hands get cold. Hey, do you want to touch it? Most of the time they look at me like, I am crying here. Why would I want to touch your chair? But once they look at me with that moment of confusion of why would she be focusing on a cold chair when we have this going on here, that's long enough for them to be able to flip their lid back on, mm-hmm. and be able to understand, could that be cool? And that's the thing about kids. Kids are very curious, and they are also used to expect an adult to react the same way. So for example, if you need a kid to be able to come back from a spring break, maybe instead of going through the same activities that you have before you do your routine activities, every time before you do them, you do a wiggle dance that allows them to move and stuff. It can even be your back to school dance that you can incorporate into your lesson planning that allows some movement. Or before you transition from one activity to the other, you do something like that take 3 that allows them to look about the room and then take a breath. Or you can do a mental break, which is, let's find something in your shirt that you can touch that can ground you. when you utilize pom-poms, you have to use the very big ones. But one of the things that is key is connect that pom-pom with something that has to do with grounding. So I usually take the concon, which is really big and really colorful, and then I connect it with their body. Let me see if you have all of your body parts for us to start the lesson. So you have your forehead and your cheeks and your nose and your chin. Something simple, something quick, but it really allows you to connect visually. There is a sensory piece to it, and then there is a cognitive piece, forehead, nose, and that immediately grounds them into the present. So take the things you do, but connect it with sensory stimulation.